morning, everybody. Welcome to today's edition of the Daily Market Commentary. I'm your host, Chuck Fulkerson. Hope you guys had a great day yesterday. I didn't really have time to get a DMC out yesterday, as I actually had a late night the night before at the Houston Rodeo, and so I slept in. I'm just going to throw that out there. But today we are rocked and ready to roll, although there wasn't a whole lot to miss yesterday, as we are on contract rollover day. So make sure that you are aware of our contracts that have rolled over. We've rolled over to the M contract on the futures markets, so do be aware of that. Now, we are up 63 points, 1.5% today in the ES. There is, on a 4-hour chart, signs of life. We do see signs of life. As looking at this, I see that we have put in a higher swing high as well as a slightly higher swing low. We did also just come in the overnight and get above our prior swing high right here. So now, once you get above the prior swing high and the prior swing low, now you have a little bit of optimism from a bullish perspective and an opportunity to get long. The thing that I would say to pay attention to today is the fact that we actually have put in this slightly higher high. Now, on a daily chart, we've not changed anything. Nothing has changed on a daily chart. Only slight bit of, we'll call it bit of optimism for the bulls, is that it looks like we may have put in a higher low than this one right here. Now, not completely a higher low as of yet. I would still have to get a higher high, but this could be the form of a little bit of a base. Maybe we're going to get a little bit of a reprieve after a few weeks of fairly strong downward movement. Now, I don't necessarily think that my weekly trend is changing yet. I'm still maintaining an overall bearish stance as a longer-term investor. I'm still maintaining an overall bearish stance as a swing trader. But as an intraday trader, I think you've got some potential opportunities for bullish setups. And the first and most obvious one in my mind, and I say most obvious, it's a little sneaky for those that don't see it, is this little wick over wick that was just formed, frankly, not all that long ago. I'm recording this at 5:49 a.m. Central Time, and this is the 5 a.m. candle that we're looking at. So I think you've got a pretty decent reversal opportunity in here. If I move this down to a 15-minute chart, you can see you could tighten this up even a little bit if you really wanted to, and just take this speed candle and just this area that includes this speed candle, if you want to be a bit more conservative. Now, I think your stop has to go below here, below this little pivot, because you have a little bit of a wick over top of a wick there. Excuse me, a level on top of a level right there. So your stop would have to be below this little pivot. But I think that's a pretty good play, a pretty decent play. It's very early in a potential bull run, but it is a decent play. Now, remember, it's a Friday, and as we head into a Friday, I have seen over the past few weeks that we do get a little bit of a rally on a Friday before then gapping down the very next Sunday. So I would say be cautious about holding things over the weekend, and be, understand how to protect yourself. But I do think that's a decent little play. Moving over to the NQ. The NQ yesterday, we actually rallied fell off of a supply level, dropped into a demand area, and then rallied up off of there. So two decent little moves yesterday in the NQ, both to the upside and the downside. But looking at this like we just did the S&P, I do see a slightly higher low, slightly higher high, although just barely a slightly higher high that we're putting in right now, giving me the permission to look at a long trade opportunity. Looking at that long trade opportunity would be the origin of this speed candle that just happened here in the last few moments. Now, as always, a speed candle like this is driven really by news, and this is driven on the news that Russian President Vladimir Putin reported some, quote, certain positive shifts, unquote, in Ukrainian talks. So I don't know what that means, but what I do know is the market reacted favorably on a very, very strong move here in the last little bit. So that's the S&P as well as the NASDAQ. The Russell yesterday, we had taken a look at kind of this area as a line in the sand. And we did get above those highs and put in some higher swing lows. And so the Russell also looking strong. We did come to our confirmation supply, but we cut right through there. And so, looking at the Russell, just like we look at the other markets, the origin of this move could be a place to look. Moving over to energies and metals, primarily our crude oil market. Now, I talked about the fact the other day that I had full belief that this gap would be filled, and the gap got filled. We filled the gap, traded away. I also talked about the fact that we had basically a speed candle on a weekly chart, right? We had a huge speed candle on a weekly chart. So I think that there's still a chance that we're going to retrace this speed candle and come back into this area. Now, looking at this on a 4-hour, our 4-hour trend we've gotten some lower lows and some lower highs, giving me an opportunity to get in. Now, we did blow through this demand area. I will tell you, I was a little bit surprised that we just cut right through it like a knife through butter. But we did cut through there. Your next demand isn't until down in here, but this demand now, because our big picture has shifted on a 4-hour, has to be a confirmation demand, right? Still valid, but confirmation. And our 1-hour chart, in looking at this, you've got a couple of decent levels. One that I like the most is this wick over wick right here. Now, the only downside of this is we've come close to it without getting in, but I like this wick over wick area right in here. Could also theoretically see a potential breakdown. And you might say, well, there's not a lot of room there to run. Listen, do you need more than a point or two in oil, right? If we get tight basing, that's a 3-point move down in oil, right? $1,000 a point can be a substantial move if you trade just a few contracts. So if we get basing there, be aware that does set up for a potential opportunity. On a smaller time frame, 15-minute chart, you've got a little noisy cricket level up here that we're coming close to, and a little base drop area here below the pivot. Point being is that I see a couple of areas of opportunity if we rally back up or if there's basing right here around 105. Moving to gold. Gold also came in, and we did get a little breakout trade in gold, so that was a nice little run back up. We did get a little opportunity here on this rally back up into this supply area. This 15-minute supply zone actually held up really, really well. Got a nice strong move away, and so I'm going to remove that one. And now we have another one right up here to pay attention to. Should we rally back up into this region? All right, so those are our levels in gold, crude oil, and our major markets. Taking a quick look at the euro. So we had looked at the euro the other day, talked about the fact that we were seeing some bullish movement, and we did rally up in the euro yesterday into our supply level and got a very strong move away. Cut through our potential confirmation demand below, but got a really nice move away on this area of supply. And now, as we come back up to there, we're not going to try it again, right? That level's now DTM, dead to me. But we did have a slight gap. We do have a slight gap fill trade on the rollover gap. And rollover gaps do matter, by the way. This is why I don't use those adjusted contracts that take away gaps. I really, really want to use the gaps because the gaps are useful trading opportunities that I think everyone should at least take a quick look at. I'm going to leave this as the gap trade rather than the speed trap fill, giving you an opportunity to get long on a pullback into this region here. I think that's probably going to be the better play. And then when I look at the Canadian dollar's really flatlined the last 2 days. Really, really, really flatlined. We had a bit of a supply area in here, and if you look at this supply area from a 15-minute chart, it gave you an entry, and then 6 candles later, it told you to get the heck out of Dodge. If you didn't, you got a little 2-to-1 profit out of it, maybe. But eventually, it wound up going right through. And so, oh man, now I gotta price there stuck on my chart. And so now looking at this area up here as my next reversal point, the downside of that reversal point is that we're basing here in front of the level. And anybody knows that basing is the kiss of death. And so this basing in front of the level actually makes it a lot less probable. I will say that I wouldn't be surprised to see a little bit of a breakout above here to pick up a small day trade opportunity. Taking a look at our crypto markets, our Bitcoin and Ether futures. Bitcoin is sitting between a couple of pretty large areas. On a smaller time frame, you've got a level right here where I think you could see a small reversal at 42. And Ether had a pretty decent level here yesterday, but we based in front of the level. So basing in front of the level, as I always like to say, kiss of death, telling you don't take this trade. It's exactly what happened here, giving us an opportunity to get the heck out of Dodge if you were in front of it. I would see that, is there a basing here for a potential breakout? That's where I would look next as an opportunity to get long. Question is Ether putting in a bit of a base to be able to trade higher? Or does it look a little bit more like we have a bit of a descending triangle pattern? So these swing highs are important because if we can't get above these swing highs, there's a chance we can continue to fall a bit further. All right, and that's all I really have for today, everybody. If you guys have any questions, as always, please shoot us an email, support@tradersarmy.com. Like, subscribe, share, all that fun jazz. I will talk to you soon. Have a great weekend. See ya. Hey, thanks for joining us. If you like what we do, please make sure you hit that subscribe button. It's the only way the computers know that you're actually alive and really care. And go to tradersarmy.com today to learn a bit more. And if you want to see some of our other videos, click here in the box.